Good evening, everyone. Am I clearly visible and audible? Guys, can you see and hear me clearly? Okay, Ishan can. What about the others? All right. Great, guys. So I'll start with a brief introduction about myself, and then we move on to the agenda of the discussion. Just a minute, guys. All right. So my name is Mayank Agarwal, and I am an MBA from University Business School. After that, I worked for a brief period of time with the Volvo Group as the marketing manager. And for the last 5 years, I am a verbal trainer working with Bullseye. And I've interacted with a number of students regarding aptitude, verbal, and personality development. The agenda for the session today, guys, is very, very specific. We are going to talk about two things when we talk of the verbal section of the aptitude exams. So the exam that you're going to take, there is going to be a verbal section. When we are talking of the verbal section, two of the things are very, very important. Almost all the exams have questions which are based on reading comprehensions. So we're going to talk about how to improve that. Secondly, vocabulary, I think it goes without saying that you cannot do well in the verbal section without a strong command over the vocabulary. So these are the two things I'm going to talk to you guys about. And the idea will be that we try and outline a daily routine which helps us improve these two skills over a period of time. So when I attempt the RC and the questions on vocabulary, I am much better. So day in, day out, we are going to look to devote some time. That is the strategy, right? Okay. I'll first start out with a discussion on a little bit of reading comprehension, and then in between we'll also start talking about vocabulary. Have you guys attempted questions on RCs before, reading comprehensions? I'm sure all of you have. It's now a part of the course. I'll need responses from you guys so the conversation is pretty smooth, right? Now, guys, all of you have attempted questions on reading comprehensions. Almost any competitive exam that you take up, you're going to find a number of questions on RCs. The question, guys, is what do you think is getting tested in an RC? What do they test us on in an RC? So you have a passage and a number of questions. What are they testing you on? What do you think? Presence of mind, Sania. Okay, perfect. Presence of mind is one thing. What else, guys, is being tested? Anyone else? All of you know this already. It's just speed. Okay, Arohi. Perfect. Speed is another thing. Understanding of what is asked, vocabulary. All right, guys. All right. So the point is why I am asking you guys that do we understand what is being tested? If you can understand what the test setters are testing you on, working to improve that becomes much more clear to you where you need to work on. So you have a passage and you have questions on that. The skill that is being tested, guys, is your reading skill. In a reading comprehension, they are testing you on your reading skills. So, first question is, if they are testing you on your reading skills, how do you think you can improve your reading skills? What do you guys think? Anyone? Ishan says reading more, so Sania agrees. Nandini, Arshi, what do you guys think? How do we improve our reading skills? Very easy, and we agree with Ishan and Gitanjal, Nandini. You cannot improve reading skills without a habit of reading. So, guys, if we are serious about taking the exams, the first thing that we are supposed to do is we are supposed to cultivate a habit of reading. You cannot improve in the verbal section without a habit of reading. I am going to talk about various reading skills. How, when you read an RC, how should we read it? How do I ensure I can read at a faster pace? What information to read slowly? What information to read at a faster pace? We are going to talk about all of that. But all of that is secondary and it will not make sense to you if you do not understand the importance of reading on a daily basis. So, my first request to you guys, make sure you are reading daily, right? Okay. Then, when I talk of reading daily, the other thing is, guys, what to read. So, what do you think we should read, guys? Some of us are saying newspapers, novels. What all shall we read? Are you guys reading anything currently? Articles, Ishan? Yes. What else? Something that enhances our knowledge, Sania? Yes. Perfect. Blogs? All right. Because the point is, guys, when I request the students to read on a daily basis, the next question, very genuine question is, what do I read? Now, the answer to that is twofold. If you are already in the habit of reading, my suggestion is pick up something that you find challenging. So, if you read the Times of India daily and you are not really challenged while reading it, the reading is very comfortable for you, pick up something like The Hindu. But if you are not in the habit of reading, pick up anything you like, but make sure you're spending your time reading. So it could be anything that interests you, could be sports news, could be a magazine on automobiles, but you have to read. All right, guys. Now we'll get back to reading in a little while. Have you guys ever tried to improve your vocabulary also before this? Has anyone ever tried to improve vocabulary? I'm sure some of us have. Gitanjal has. What about the rest? You can respond, guys. We can. All right. Arohi has. Almost all of us have, which is great to see. Most of us have tried to improve our vocabulary. Guys, how have you tried to improve your vocabulary so far? What have you done for it? Reading the dictionary. Okay, Gitanjal. Perfect. Reading the dictionary is one thing. What else have you guys done? Watching a lot of shows and conversing with people. Great. Arohi has read the Hindu editorials and the bullseye word lists. Perfect, Arohi. Hindu editorials and bullseye word lists. All right, guys. Let us say we discuss 15 new words in the session today. How many do you think you will be able to recall by next week. How many do you think? Out of 15. Arohi says 5 to 7. Sania, half. Okay, 7 to 8 words, maybe. What about the rest? Almas, Ishan? Okay, Gitanjal, I am talking of 15 words, 1 5. I'm guessing it's again half for most of us. Great. Guys, why do you think we won't be able to recall all 15? So we discussed 15 new words today. If I have to recall all 15 of those, what should I do? The answers will come from you guys. You already have the answers. I will just try to bring things to your notice. You guys already know everything that we are going to discuss today. Sanya, perfect. She says, read the words every day. I agree with you. What do the others think? Anyone else who has an idea or can suggest to us what we should do? Use them while speaking. Satvika, okay. Perfect, guys, perfect. Now, when we are talking of improving vocabulary, a number of things are suggested to us. And you know, when I was preparing for CAT, vocabulary was very relevant for the exam. And I also tried to improve vocabulary. So, a number of things had been suggested to me. One of which is the book. I'm sure most of you would have heard the name of the book. This is a great book. The book is Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. Have you guys heard of this book before? Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis? Right. So the book has a number of root words, prefixes, suffixes, something that we are going to talk about in a little while. So it is also a very good source to improve vocabulary. The other thing that is generally suggested is start using the words that you come across in your day-to-day conversations. So you talk to people, start using those words. Has anyone tried to do that so far? Have you guys tried to improve your vocabulary by using those words in conversations? Shambhavi has. Does that work, guys? Have you been able to do that? Has it led to improvements? I'm sure it has for some of us. Yes, it does. Great. So great if it works for you. What my experience has been with this technique, and I think some of us will relate to this, the experience has been, guys, that when we start out, let us say for the initial 2 days or maybe a week, this is very doable because the people that we are conversing with, they like it. But the problem is, guys, we are preparing for an exam, but the people around us are not. So what happens is after a period of about 4 days or maybe 6 days, people don't really appreciate it. And it becomes a little more harder to use it in a practical sense, to use those words in our day-to-day conversations. Having said that, if your circle is such, if your group of friends or your family is such who appreciate and it is very doable for you, I think this is a very good technique. Whatever words you learn, you try and use them in conversations. What I am going to suggest to you guys is something that I have done personally, and I think some of you might already be doing it, and it has been very effective for me. As we just discussed a few minutes back, we are all going to read daily as it is. So, all of us are going to read on a daily basis. Now, while reading, let us say it is just an article from the newspaper. We do not know the meanings to all the words that we come across. My suggestion is while reading, just keep underlining the words, the meanings to which you do not know. So you just keep underlining those words. Once you are done with reading, So you are done with reading for the day, you've read the article. Pick any three words that you underlined, look up their meanings, and note them down in a notebook. How long does this take, guys? What do you think? How long will this take? Noting three words down in a notebook? 5 minutes? If I am a little lazy, maybe 7 minutes, right? Should not take me more than that. Now, all I have to do next day onwards, I just have to glance through those three words twice a day, maybe once in the morning, once in the evening. And any set of words that I have written down by my own hand does not take me more than a minute to glance through. So, just maybe 2 minutes in a day. You do this with any set of words for a period of 6 to 7 days, those words will then become a part of your vocabulary. Those words will then become hard to forget. And I am so confident about it because a number of my students have done this before. I personally have done this, and I can still recall, I think I can comfortably say 70 to 75% of the words that I did this way, I can still recall. So, very, very effective, guys. Daily, you don't have to do much, just three words a day. So, in all, you are just spending 10 minutes a day on vocabulary, 5 minutes noting down those three words, 5 minutes maybe revisiting the words you've already done it. And then the next, okay, Nandini is saying reading them daily will make us memorize the words permanently. Absolutely correct, Nandini. Guys, the point is we all need to understand what is needed for a particular situation. So, when I'm talking of vocabulary, the biggest challenge or issue with vocabulary is reinforcement, revisiting the words. So, the point is, guys, if you do not revisit the words, you are going to forget. So, you need a system wherein habitually it becomes a habit for you, wherein you are revisiting the words. So, when I'm talking of improvement in the verbal section, guys, I am just asking you guys to spend 1 hour a day, 6 days a week, 45 minutes reading as sacred. It has to be a ritual for you. About 10 to 15 minutes a day working on vocabulary. You do this for a month and you will realize the difference in your comfort level with reading, in how easily you understand something by yourself. Also, we've got to understand, guys, improvement in the verbal section is a gradual process. It is very different from the quant section. In the quant section, let us say the topic is number system. You do not know number system, you spend 3 days on the topic. Learn the basics, learn the tricks there are to be learned, solve or practice a number of questions. The fourth day, your score improves. The same thing cannot be said about vocabulary or reading comprehensions. These demand a different strategy. The strategy is simple: spending time on a regular basis. Very doable, I believe. Is it doable, guys? Is it making sense to you? 45 minutes a day reading, three words a day. I am very confident about it, guys, because I have done this. A number of my students have done this very effectively. So my request will be this first and foremost. Okay, I think Ishan was asking me something. He said, I tend to get lazy. So how do I ensure that I read? Ishan, for you and for others who tend to get lazy, my suggestion is start picking up things that you are naturally interested in. If you do not have an understanding of business or psychology, let us say, and you start picking up articles on psychology, you will obviously be not able to read it very in about 20 or 30 minutes. Pick up articles that you're interested in. So that is the advice for you. All right, guys. Now what I'm going to do, guys, is we are going to look at how reading skills. So how should we approach reading a passage? That will be the agenda for the next 5 minutes. What I'm going to share with you guys, I'm going to share a small RC passage. It will be on 3 slides. Once you are done reading a particular slide, you type in a Y in the chat box and I move on to the next slide. Once you've read the entire 3 slides, you guys tell me what you think is the main idea of the RC. Because I think all of you would be aware that the question on the main idea of the RC is the most frequently appearing question. So we're going to look to see how we can tackle that question and how we should read the RC to be able to figure out the main idea effectively. Shall I share the RC with you guys? Are you guys ready for it? All right, great, guys. Let me share the RC with you. Okay. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute, guys. Give me a minute. All right. All right, guys. So this is a small RC. I'll get back to the RC, which is on 3 slides. I'm not able to spot it as of now. This is just a 2-paragraph RC. Let's first look to read this and understand what is the main idea in this RC. In the meanwhile, I'll try and figure out where I've by mistake kept that RC. So please attempt this for now and we discuss that in a little while. All right, Arohi, let's wait for others. Nandini, what do you think is the main point in this passage? This is just one slide, guys. Perfect. Nandini, great. What do the others think? Come on, guys. Okay. Sania, convergence between the two theories. Perfect. Anyone else? Let's wait for a couple more responses and then we discuss it, guys. All right. So, guys, I hope all of you read it. The point to be understood here is we need not be distracted. Generally, in a complex RC, the authors will try and distract us. So, if you read this, you would see a number of fancy or complicated words, but that does not change the main point that the author is making. So, here he says, we shall examine 2 points of convergence between Plotinian philosophy and Byzantine aesthetics. As a reader, the moment I come across these words, Plotinian philosophy and Byzantine aesthetics, I form a sort of a mental block. So I feel like that this is going to be a difficult RC. Whereas, in a sense, all the author is saying is just this. We shall examine 2 points of convergence between A and B. Then he says the first point concerns the father's views of art and beauty. So he says there are 2 points of convergence, mentions the first point. There is clear affinity between the views of. Now, when we are talking of improving our reading speed, guys, and you come across this list of people, you don't really need to read each and every word very carefully. You do not need to read this. So you understand it as there is clear affinity between the views of different people. That is it. Then you move on to the second paragraph. The second point concerns the formation of a theoretical framework, and then Graber supported it. Till here, this is the second point. So, my understanding is the author is trying to give us 2 points of convergence between two theories. The first point he mentions, and then he mentions the second point. And then he says this can also be opposed. The simple point, guys, is do not be distracted by difficult sounding words. Be very focused on the structure of the RC. People who marked Nandini, Sania, you guys marked it absolutely correctly. So great to see. I've been able to locate, thankfully, the RC we have on 3 slides. So we're going to look at another technique for figuring out the main idea. The first one here is that do not be distracted by vocabulary. Shall we look at that, guys, very quickly? And I hope more people will respond this time. Great. So let's very quickly do that, guys. Okay, read this, type in a Y, and I move on to the next slide. 3 slides. All right, guys, great. People who've read it, what do you think is the main idea of this passage? Okay, Sania, can you just refine it a little more? Filming technologies. Okay. Guys, please type in so I understand your thought process and I can discuss it with you accordingly. Grabbing early bird opportunities. All right, Arohi. Approaches for production of certain products. Okay, Nandini. Satvika, what do you think? I think you've read it entirely. All right. Priyashri believes it VHS was better than beta. All right, guys. Let us say if I were the student, guys, if I was taking a test and I read this passage, this is how I would approach reading this. So I start reading the RC, and the first word is all right. Just a minute, guys. This is who's responded last? Ishan. Okay, perfect. Ishan, perfect. So you start reading the RC, and the first word you come across is traditionally. Now, the moment you come across the word traditionally, a thought should strike your mind that the author is going to talk about something that used to happen. And 90% of the times, when the author says something that used to happen, he contrasts it with something that happens today. So the idea is, guys, through practice, we are going to train ourselves to look at words and have certain thoughts. So the moment you read the word traditionally, this thought should be at the back of our minds. The first, for traditionally, what used to happen was the people who used to start early used to benefit. Today, however is a word which represents contrast. So he's now going to represent contrast. Today, however, it is different. It is about developing integrated approaches. So, my understanding from the first paragraph is that the author is contrasting what used to happen earlier with what happens today. Earlier, people who started early used to benefit. Today, it is about developing integrated approaches. With this understanding, I move on to the next paragraph. In the next paragraph, guys, he starts talking of VCRs and VHS. So I start reading the first line. It says producers of the beta format, for example. Now, guys, please listen to me intently. When I'm trying to understand the main point that the author wants to make, and I come across any examples, I need not really read the example word by word, because I know examples are just there to support his main point. No example can ever be the main idea of the author. So people who thought probably the passage is about VHS and VCR, it is not that, guys. VHS and VCR is used as an example to discuss a much broader point of how companies used to succeed earlier and what happens today. Now, as a reader, when I'm reading and I come across example, I don't read it word by word. I just skim through. So if I took, let us say, 45 seconds to read the first paragraph, I do not spend more than 20 seconds on the second one because it is just an example. We've got to understand one thing, guys, which I think is very, very powerful when talking of reading skill or strategy for an RC. All of us have got to understand that not all lines are created equal, which means if I spend equal amount of time and equal level of concentration on all lines, that is probably not a very good strategy while reading an RC. So whenever you have examples, whenever you have statistics, those are always supporting statements meant to be read at a much faster pace. Let's move on to the third paragraph. I hope you guys are with me on this. So third paragraph again is carrying forward the discussion on that example. And ultimately through the second and the third paragraph, we realize the author has simply exemplified the point he was making in the first paragraph, which stays the same. Earlier companies used to succeed one way and now they succeed with a different strategy. So guys, our first focus, because most frequently you will come across the question, what is the main idea of the passage? The first focus will be to understand what is it that the author is trying to say. For that, we have to train ourselves to ignore or look over secondary information in the passage, especially in the form of examples and statistics. All of this comes with practice, with emphasis. The second point, guys, now, how do I ensure I do this? The more you practice this, the better you get. As a general rule, guys, think of the structure of an RC in general. How the passages are given to you. The author has some objective in mind. He wants to share something with the reader, discuss something with the reader. He writes that down in the form of a passage, and that passage becomes the text for the reader. The reader's objective, the student's objective, is to be able to get as close to what the author intended to say as possible. How does he do that? Any author, guys, it's a general rule in standard writing. The first line of every paragraph generally outlines what that paragraph is going to be about. For example, if you look at the second paragraph, so I know that this paragraph is going to be about an example. So as a general rule, we read the first line of every paragraph a little slowly to capture what is going to follow. The information that follows after the first line is generally an elaboration of the same point. So you can speed up there. Then when we talk of the concluding paragraph, that is again something we need to read a little more slowly, because the author, after having, see, understand guys, I'm sure you guys have composed essays, and the general rule in an essay is there is an introduction, then there is the body paragraphs, and then there is the conclusion, right? When I talk of the introduction, the objective is to introduce the topic at hand. So if you are the reader, you need to read this a little more slowly to try and understand the subject of the author. What is the author going to talk about? The actual analysis is done in the body. So for the body paragraphs or the middle paragraphs, read the first line or maybe the second line of every paragraph a little slowly. The rest of the lines you can skim through. Then finally, in the concluding paragraph, the author says, this is what I think, these are my supporting statements, and based on this, he then reiterates his point. I believe this is the current scenario. So the concluding paragraph, especially the second half of it, needs to be read a little more slowly. You try and do that over a period of time, if you practice a few RCs, let us say 15 RCs like that, the structure of the RC starts to become very clear to you. You become very good at how to spot information in the RC. Is it making sense, guys, so far? So when I start to look for information in the passage, anyone with a different opinion or a difference of opinion? All right, guys. So when I was saying start reading the articles, even when you compose essays, this is how you should approach it. So when I'm talking of reading the RCs, it's very important we understand where to pace up, where to slow down. In general, the average student, what he does is he reads all the lines at the same pace with pretty much the same level of concentration. That is a wrong strategy, guys. The other thing, I think most of you would have this doubt or query in mind. The question is, should you read the questions first or should you read the RC first? What do you guys think? I'm sure most of you have these questions. Questions first or the RC? All right, Satvika, Mayank, almost everyone believes questions first. Yes, guys. Again, to most things, there is no real hard and fast rule. But in general, I think it helps that to read questions first. So you know which information to read a little slowly, which information is irrelevant, and you can read at a faster pace. But I've come across a few students, a few colleagues of mine, even who find reading the RC first more beneficial. So it's up to you entirely. As a general advice, I think it helps to read the questions first. All right, guys. Any questions, any queries so far before I move on to the next part of the discussion? If not, please type in a quick N in the chat box and I move on. All right, great. Nandini, Swasti. Perfect, guys. Okay, so we were discussing vocabulary and reading skills. I have tried to outline a couple of pointers about the reading skills. I've tried to discuss with you how you can improve on vocabulary in a systematic manner. Now, we started the discussion with the book Word Power Made Easy. And people who already have bullseye material would know that there is the book Bull Vocab Builder, which has probably 1,000 words, uh, word lists with number of words and a number of prefixes, root words, and suffixes. The next part of the discussion, I'm going to talk to you guys about root words and their importance. So for people who already know what root words are, it will be relatively simple for them. For the rest of us, probably help us move in that direction. Oh, all right, guys. Have you come across the word philosophy? I'm sure all of you have. What does the word philosophy mean, guys? Some of our friends are philosophers, right? What is philosophy? Ideas, okay, Nandini. Ideology, something deep. Beliefs. Some of our friends are philosophers, right? We call them philosophers in a mode of banter. All right. Detailed idea. I'm also very sure you guys have come across the word philanthropy. Have you guys come across the word philanthropy? I'm sure you have. Right. What is philanthropy? Doing good deeds in the society. Perfect, Ishan. Contributing to poor. So people like Ratan Tata, Azim Premji, we call these people philanthropists because they do a lot of charity, help poor people. Now, when I'm talking of root words, guys, both of these words have the root phil common to them. What is phil, guys? What does the root phil mean? I'm sure a lot of you know already. What is phil? Arohi, you are close, but not quite there. Almas, Ishan, what do you guys think? What is phil? So, all right, guys. The word phil means love. So, phil is a root word. You will come across a number of words with phil. Wherever you come across phil, it means love. The word anthrop. Anthrop is another root word meaning humankind or mankind. So when I say what is philanthropy, it is two root words, phil and anthrop. Phil meaning love, anthrop meaning humankind. So philanthropy is love for humankind or mankind. And naturally, people who love mankind will engage in a lot of charity, would want to help other people financially or otherwise. And that is why those people are called philanthropists. A knowledge of root words help us learn a number of words. So it can be extrapolated exponentially to a number of words. And that is why a knowledge of the root words is very, very crucial. So now let us try and figure out the meaning of this word, guys. Philosophy. What would philosophy be? It has another root word. Sophie comes from that. What is philosophy? This is the last part of the discussion, guys. I won't bore you any further. All right. Do you guys watch English movies? I'm sure all of us do. That's pretty much what we've been doing since the lockdown last year. Right. It's a very, very familiar answer. Yes to watching movies. Even I do. All right, guys. Movies that show college life generally use this word. Sophomore year in college. Have you heard of this word? Sophomore year in college? I'm very sure you guys have. Which year is that? Okay, Arohi, perfect. It is the second year in college, right? Now, the second year is termed as the sophomore year in college. It comes from two root words. One is sophos and the other is moros. Sophos means wisdom and moros means foolish. So the second year in college is termed as the sophomore year because the children at that age are considered to be half wise and half foolish. Half wise because they've now started going out into the world, they are experiencing different things, are exposed to the world around them. So they are gaining wisdom. Half foolish because they are still children at heart. So that is why it is termed as the sophomore year in college. Similarly, guys, philosophy is love for sophos, which is wisdom. So philosophy is love for wisdom. And that is why philosophers are people who talk of a number of deep concepts. Things like how should a person live his life? What is good in life? How should you treat other people? Things like that. The point I'm trying to make is if you can learn root words, prefixes and suffixes, so as I said, we have to revisit a number of words. If you can learn root words, revisit them from time to time, your knowledge of vocabulary strengthens exponentially. That is the point I was trying to make. So my request will be, guys, it's very, very simple. It's not something that is beyond most of us. Few things to do. First, Cultivate a habit of reading for 45 minutes a day sacredly, 6 days a week at least. I never suggest anything to be done 7 days a week. Second thing, note down 3 words, glance through those. If you can, spend a little time on root words as well. That's it. Approximately 15 minutes a day on vocabulary. Apart from that, we are going to practice a number of exercises, number of questions, work on concepts, take mock tests. The final part of the discussion, as a suggestion, guys, I request all of you to take plenty of mock tests, and more than taking the test, the analysis of the test is very, very important. You need to analyze your mistakes. If you do not analyze, you're pretty much the same as you were while taking the previous test. So spend time analyzing mock tests, take a number of those. With that said, guys, enough of gyan from my side. I'm still open to taking questions from you. Anything which is not clear during this session, any point I was making, or any other query in general, please feel free to type in or speak through. If not, just type in all okay and I'd understand, guys. All right, Nandini. Priyashri is asking me, how many mock tests should we take in a week? Priyashri, I suggest at least a couple of mock tests a week. And more than taking the mock tests, spend time when you get your questions wrong, spend time understanding why you got the questions incorrect. What is the weakness? That is the more important point. So a couple of mock tests in a week should be enough as long as you're analyzing those tests. Anything else, guys? I hope that helps, Priyashri. All right, guys, then. It was really fun interacting with all of you. I thank you guys for your patience. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good rest of the day. Take care. Good luck. And please stay safe. Thank you very much. Bye bye, guys. Thank you, Ishan. Thank you, Nandini, Swasti. Thank you, everyone.